referrals, plus sphere of influence, plus open house. I mean, I did well, and the anchor was listings. And just by becoming effective at this, I'm looking back, and I have my sales ranking in the top 1% nationally many years. I was in the top 10 of a 3,000 agent firm in Southern California. And it was because I did well competing for things. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I didn't do that well, but I looked at it, I'm excited about it. Many agents go into a presentation with a mindset that I am just going to go in and guns blazing, and I'm going to impress them with all these things that we do, and they just dump benefit after benefit after benefit on the seller. And it usually doesn't work. And first of all, I don't look at it as a presentation. I'm not selling as much as this is a consultation. Just like when you go to the doctor, you have a consultation. The doctor can't diagnose and help you till they know what's going on with you. And so the wisdom is start with that approach where you're assessing this scenario to see if it's a listing you want to take, and to see if it's a seller that you want to work with, and to see if there's motivation there for a seller to need to sell their house. And you can't find that out if you're there in presentation mode, talking. Just, it's almost like we're wanting to drink out of a fire hose because we're just vomiting our information all over them. It doesn't work. But take an approach where you're there to find things out. You're a consultant. You really, it's two ways. You're deciding if this is a client you want to work for, just like they're deciding who they're going to hire. And so asking questions allows us to find out their motivation. And it's interesting, just humans, no one. So they don't want to say, hey, we flat out have to sell. We're in trouble financially or whatever it is. It's just human nature. Like I'll go into Nordstrom, which I almost never do because I hate to shop. But when I just get so desperate, I've got to get clothes. I'll go in and someone will come up to me and say, can I help you? And I'll literally say to them, no, thanks, I'm just looking. Well, that's not true. I don't do that. Well, actually, I have a guy there that's helped me for years. And so, that's human nature. You don't want to feel vulnerable. And so by asking questions, you kind of draw out their story. Why are you selling? Build rapport. How long have you lived here? And those questions will let you know what their story. Once they feel comfortable with you, they're going to tell you the truth about what's going on. And the game for me was, if I knew that they had to be sold down the road, whether they really were realistic day one or not, if they knew they had to be sold down the road, then that's absolutely a listing I wanted. I just needed to know I had a listing agreement that went a little longer than their absolute drop dead time frame to get this house sold. And you find that out. They might be buying a new home. If they don't sell their home by a certain day, they won't get it. They might be transferred somewhere else. They need to sell. But asking questions uncovers the motivation. So once we've got the motivation and it's there, now I need to figure out, what am I getting graded on? Again, instead of just dumping information, I need to ask questions so I know what I'm getting graded on, because I really need to focus on that. And the reason marketing is such a big part of telling our story is, for most sellers, their perception of our marketing abilities usually sways who they're going to hire. And so that's huge. But I need to find that out. How was your experience with your last realtor? When did you sell a house last? How did that go? What did you like? What didn't you like? And until I know what I'm being graded on, what are you looking for in an agent and a company, then I can't speak to the things that are going to make a difference. I remember, I kind of learned this the hard way. I lost a listing in my farm. And I went back and said, why did you list with these people? And the answer that the sellers gave me was, they told us that they could get us in the multiple listing like in an hour or 2 hours. And I'm so frustrated because I could do that. We could all do that. But I failed to ask enough questions to find out what they really needed. And somebody else asked the right questions and hit on a hot button and got hired. And I never forgot that. So Yeah, the goal when I go in for a listing is to take a listing, for me to be viewed by them as the agent that they want to represent them, to market on their behalf, to negotiate for them, to represent them in the sale of their home. And that's my goal. I don't go into a listing presentation feeling as though it's my job to educate them on anything and everything in regard to selling their home before I even get hired. And that's often what agents do. There's just this insecurity that I've just got to throw everything at them I can that I have, or it might not be enough and they might hire someone else. But it just doesn't work. So I want to separate the price of their home and the value of their home from the decision of who they want to represent them. And sometimes we're more successful at that than others. But we can't fall into the price trap. When they say, how much is your home worth, and you throw out a number, you now own that number. And if the market doesn't respond, then, hey, you pick the number, it's on you. And there's such a psychology around this, because human nature, everybody feels that their house is special and it's worth probably more than it is. And that's a sincere belief. They think that Aunt Mary's antique in the corner just makes this room so charming that everyone's going to pay more money, or they think their unusual carpet is a big upgrade and adds value, and it doesn't. That's normal. And I learned over the years that at a listing presentation, to try and persuade them that their home isn't worth what they think it's worth is an absolute lose. And the reason is they view me as someone who doesn't see how special their home is and doesn't believe in the value of their home. Now remember, at this point, they haven't tested the market. There's no market feedback to either validate or not validate what their belief is. But the truth is, it's like the movie A Few Good Men with Jack Nicholson. Remember that movie? Tom Cruise. Jack Nicholson says, you can't handle the truth. And the seller, they can't handle the truth day one usually as to what their home's worth. And why should they listen to me? I'm a salesperson with an agenda that just wants to sell a house and earn a commission. And at this point, the market hasn't spoken yet. And so, I learned that lesson with a seller in my farm that was not your perfect seller, because they were retiring and they didn't have a time frame. They had a plan 2. I had 4 models in my farm. They had a plan 2 of the pool, and they wanted to sell it for the comps of a plan 2, plus the full value they paid for their pool, $50,000 or whatever it was. And I told them, you can't do that. An appraiser's going to give you a third of the value, and everything I was saying was right and true, except I missed one important reality. The market proved me wrong, because lo and behold, and I took the listing anyway, this is my farm, I don't want someone else listing it. A buyer came along who literally said, we love the plan 2, that's what we're going to buy. And whatever house we buy, we're immediately going to start digging the pool, because we've got a couple months till summer, we want to swim this summer. And so through that buyer's eyes, this is a model they love on a great cul-de-sac street. It had a pool, which is nice. To them, hey, I'd rather write the check and be swimming in my pool the day I close escrow. So for them, it made sense to pay more than actual comps for that home. I never forgot what I learned from that. And what I learned is I did them a disservice when they, can I get this for my home? And I said no. That was not professional on my part, because I don't know that. We don't know. And so I never again, when someone said, hey, this is what we need to get for our home, can we get this? I never again said, no, you can't. What I said was, well, let's look at the market. And, if anybody can get that price, I can, we can, because of our marketing and all that we do and our track record, and left it there. And so what they heard was there's a possibility for a yes. And that made all the difference, because it changed the dynamic. of an adversarial relationship where that seller said, I want this. And as the agent, I said, you can't have that. And right away, we're off to an adversarial start. They're feeling like, I'm not going to hire this guy. He doesn't see how special my home is. So now you have this ethical dilemma, right? Where, you know, if I tell them the truth as to what's likely going to happen, they're not going to hire me. And if I tell them what they want to hear, then there's a price that they're going to hold me to and it's not going to work. I found an answer. And the answer was, and this is the way to leave the door open for a yes. The answer is, if anybody can get that price, I can, and look at them to make that happen. And at that point, the shift goes from yes or no to really, what is the probability of that happening? And it's exactly the way professional people work. When you go to the doctor and the doctor says, we're going to have to operate on your tennis elbow, and you say to the doctor, okay, is this procedure going to work? The doctor is never going to say, yeah, you're golden, done deal. The doctor is going to say the only professional thing to say, and that's, we have an 85% success rate on this procedure. And in real estate, we don't talk to people that way, and it's a big mistake. And so by shifting the conversation and deflecting the price issue, hopefully until after I have the listing, or even during the listing, if they want to go through the comps, I'm focusing them on two very vital statistics that allow them a context to see how their home is competing in the market. One of them is, how big is the buyer pool for this listing? Let's say it's a $2 million home in Newport Beach. Do you know there's an actual number? It's not a guess. You can go back for the last year in comps and take sales from $1.9 million to 2.1, or however you range it around 2 million. Keep that same parameter, go back a year, and lo and behold, they're going to have 5 sales a month. And yes, they're going to be all over the map. There's going to be a waterfront condo, little studio. There's going to be a tear down or almost tear down in Harborview Homes or Irvine Terrace. There's going to be a nice little place up in Newport Coast. It's going to be all over the map, but that number is so consistent. And until the seller understands that there's an actual buyer pool number for their home, they'll always believe that there's an infinite number of buyers if you, Mr. Realtor, will just run another ad, hold another open house. And they have to know that vital statistic, just like when you go to the doctor. What is the first thing they do? They check your vital statistics, because that gives you a baseline to work from. So until the seller sees two very critical vital statistics, I'm not arming them with the information to make a great decision as to how competitive they want their home to be. And it's amazing. You go back a year and you see an actual number, consistent number rise. You go back a year before that. Now you have 2 years of history. That number will be very, very similar. And if you look at your active under contract pending, it will validate that buyer pool number. It might be a little bit bigger because maybe there's something pending that's been pending for the year it's never going to sell. But the seller can see that and say, wow, this is my actual buyer pool number. Now, think about that. That's the cumulative result of every agent showing every buyer and every company running every ad and every internet site globally. There's a net number. And the seller starts to see very quickly, it's not rocket science, well, this is the number. Next month, that's going to be the number. And the month after that, that's going to be the number. Now, here's the second vital statistic that empowers this seller to make a good decision to accomplish their goal. Number one, how big is the buyer pool? $2 million house in Newport, let's say it's 5. Here's your next vital statistic. How many am I competing with for those 5 that are going to sell next month? And again, just go to actives and look in that price range, and you're going to see, oh, there's 23. And all over Newport. The seller often wants to just focus on their neighborhood and say, just show me comps in my neighborhood. And that's a trap, because many buyers are looking for the most for the least. They're not tied to one neighborhood. They think they're going to buy in Harborview Homes, and then, oh my gosh, something with a view in Newport Coast comes up, and there they go. It's natural. Most of us are that way. Buyers are looking for the most for that for that price range. Dory and I went through this when we bought a home a handful of years ago down in San Juan Capistrano. We wanted a South County little view home, little ranch. We just the two of us. We don't need a lot of space. Just wanted a nice ocean view. And we're looking. We've been in the Gal, Monarch Beach, Dana Point, San Clemente, looking. Didn't find it. In the meantime, we're renting a little place in San Juan, and a home came up in our neighborhood. We go look at it. It's a short sale. Really great opportunity. And went to the listing agent and said, "Hi, we love the home, and we want you to represent us. You keep the 6%. You know how that goes. The listing agent's going to double end it." And so now they're loving us. Sure enough, we get the house. So we're looking for a little single level ranch with a view. We buy a too big home with no view. I mean, 4-car garage, big, completely different, because buyers buy the most that's available in the market a lot of the time. And so the seller needs to see that they're competing not just within their neighborhood, they're competing all over. And you've got to educate them to that. So now you've got your two vital statistics. My buyer pool number, 5, the number I'm competing with, 23. And so I would go to that listing presentation prepared with a 1-line output showing the 5, here's your buyer pool. Well, the buyer pool, I'm showing 5 a month back a long way. And I'd have a 1-line output showing sales by month. I also had a lot of data on full detail on all those listings. If I had to go into detail with them on the price issue at the listing to get it, I would do it. I didn't want to do it. Often I didn't, but I was prepared. So I had that. I also had the actives. We're on a 1-page sheet. Here I've got 23 active listings to show them. Underneath that, I had full detail on every one of those so they could compare. As the seller's going through that, they're offended by a handful of those active listings that they're competing with. They're looking at this, oh, look, they just dropped their price, $300,000. No, I'm not competing with that. They're giving their house away. And then they'll find another. And so inevitably out of the 23, there'll be 5 that they're saying, we're not going to compete with that. We're not giving our house away. And remember, the seller can't handle the truth. They can't eat the elephant in one bite. They're not ready to believe that's going to affect what they're going to sell for. And so now I've armed the seller with some vital statistics. They pick the price. It's probably a little high. We go out on the market. We do our preview. We do our initial marketing. We do everything we're supposed to do. We do open houses. We get back together in 30 days. And I tell them that at the beginning. I said, we're going to have an evaluation every 30 days. We get back together. Their house didn't sell. And now we look at, sure enough, 5 more sold. And they're looking at them and they're going, oh, good. That's not going to compete with. And now that they're gone, we're going to be next in line to sell. Just natural thinking. But what the seller didn't think about 30 days before is that during that 30-day period, something else very significant happened. Not only did 5 sell, go under contract, 5 more closed. 5 or 6 more came on the market. And out of that 5 or 6 more that came on the market, probably one of them was super motivated because they had to be the best deal to sell. And then out of those existing homes that didn't sell, there were another 4 or 5 of those that, because they've been chasing the market for a while, they adjusted their price down. So now 30 days have passed. The seller is still staring at 23 homes they're competing, or 24 homes that they're competing with. And sure enough, there's 5 of them that they're still offended by because they dropped their price because they were chasing the market, or one came on new, very aggressive. But now the seller's starting to connect the dots and say, whoa, I traveled through time for 30 days. The house was exposed. Everything happened. We left no stone unturned to find the buyer that'll pay the highest price for the home. But yet now I'm staring at 5 homes that I don't want to compete with them, but I'm no farther along than I was 30 days ago. And that's not necessarily a judgment thing where I'm saying to the seller, you're wrong and you blew it. I'm saying to them now, okay, this is what's happened. At your current price, is your probability of going into escrow in the next 30 days acceptable to you? This is judgment neutral. It's their home. It's not my home. It's not my job to tell them how competitive they should be. It's my job to give them the market in such a contextual form that they can clearly see how their commodity, yes, it's a commodity, they don't want to say that, but how their home, their commodity is competing in the market. And what's magic is it's completely inductive. It's not I'm beating on them saying, you need to see this, you need to understand that. I'm letting the market speak. Now, whether it's 30 days or 60 days or 90 days that it takes them to kind of have that aha and say, you know what, we can't keep going month to month without having a higher probability. Then we decide together, okay, what price do you think would give you the probability you want? And that inductive approach is I found to be so powerful, because it's never a yes or no. Can I do this? No, you can't. The door is always open for a yes. But at the same time, I'm focusing them on the fact that does your current price give you the probability of success in the next 30 days that you want and need? And they're empowered to make the decision. And I would literally say to them, well, I've learned that if I can give you good, accurate information as to what the market's saying, you're going to make the right decision to accomplish their goal. Your goal, and it's just true. And this is the magic to me. This is the secret sauce of guiding, taking the listing because they're not hearing no from me as to what they want, and then managing the listing in a way that it truly leads to a sale. And where this just totally amazed me was back in the day, there was a year, mid-90s, when the market had gone down forever and you couldn't give a listing away. And in that year, that ended up being the second best year of my entire sales career. In a year where you couldn't give a listing away, 80% of my business was listings sold. And it was because of this process where, because I'm educating the seller so they can make the right decision, I could say to them, the market average is 9 months to sell a home, but the listings under my management sell on an average of 46 days. And the amount discounted from list price to sales price is 9.3%, but listings under my management sell with a reduction of only 2.9%. And the reason that track record developed, because I was empowering the seller with real information, allowing them to make the decision they needed, and it just worked. So I hope that's helpful. Lauren, let's talk about the marketing story, because most sellers they want to believe that our marketing is better than anybody else, and they're going to make a decision largely on that. I lost the sound.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
So I'm going to use the Lynch's listing presentation kind of as a sample right now, just because we are coming out with a 2020 listing presentation. There's a few changes between this one that we have here and the 2019 listing presentation. And thank you to the Lynch team. I think you're on here, Cheryl. They kind of went through it with a fine tooth comb, and they're like, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. This makes us look better as a brokerage. Maybe take this part out, things like that. So if you don't have a listing presentation already, please reach out to myself or Katie, and we can get this fully customized for you. So on here, where you see this blank page, this will most likely, it can be either a black cover, a white cover, or it can have your photo or your team photo. This was created before we had the Lynch team photo. I know they have a newer one, but I couldn't find it in my email. So on here, it starts with how we were ranked, the number 13 top team in the country. That's an option that you can put on there. I know Scott likes to put, we were ranked #1 in the world for 5 consecutive years, and it's kind of up to you which one you think is more powerful. So this number 13 ranking That was for 2019 when we were ranked by Wall Street Journal as a brokerage. And then when we were ranked, I think you don't have to put the year on there, but I think it was from 2008 to 2013, we were ranked the #1 team by Wall Street Journal. So it's an option for you either way that you want to go. I personally think the second one being #1, because 13 versus #1.
Hands down, yeah.
Yeah, but it's totally up to you if you want to put the 2019 and you think that date matters. Totally up to you. Again, this will be the second page here. Let me try to zoom in. Can be totally customized. Sorry.
Lauren, let me jump in on that psychology of telling a story that we're ranked #1 in the world. To me, that's so significant because most of our clients that we're talking to, they've never met someone who's been #1 in the world at what they do. And now they're sitting across from you saying our team has been ranked #1 in the world. And that's a compelling reason to get hired. If they want to go hire an attorney at a law firm that's been ranked #1 in the world, it's going to cost them 10 times as much, maybe more than that, than an average attorney. So I just think that statement is powerful. Thanks.
So we have both options for you. Again, this part will be customized. And just so you guys know, I put out all of these publications in my Mondays, deadlines, and reminders email. You'll see we have the magazine in there. We have the graphic standard, little things like that that are just there to supplement and kind of help all of the marketing that you'll be able to provide to your client. Here we have a bio. If it's just yourself as an individual agent, that's where you would be. If it's a team, it's going to be the rest of your team. And the cool thing about this, and I thought this was very smart, what the Lynches did, is they put in Erica, who's an in-house TC. You can put the marketing department. I need to take a new picture of them. So if you decide to use me in there, wait until I have a new photo. But little things like that. You can put your testimonials in here as well, which is a huge plus. Again, all of the amazing ancillary companies that we have, so Agent Apprentice, Agent Escrow, Vacation Rental, just everything to kind of look like we're a very cohesive brand, which we are. Going into this a little bit more, and I'm just going to go through this listing presentation very briefly because I have another one that I want to show you for a pre-listing package. Again, this is just kind of the marketing plan from above. It's not very, it's very basic. So when you're going into a listing presentation, I'll show you another thing that you can show to them to go into more depth of what you would be doing for their specific property. And keep in mind, these are those big coffee table books. So when you're going in with this listing presentation, we're not expecting you to leave that listing presentation with them. Rather, have a digital option that you can send to them as a follow-up is what I would recommend doing. On here, it talks about television ads, and keep in mind that is not for every single listing. There is a cost for those television ads. I believe they're about $5,900 to produce and to run the commercial on these channels. And you're provided with pre-logs and post-logs, so you can see when they're actually running, so you can give those to your client. So again, so many different options that you can give to your client. We talk about our digital ads on social media and how we can run those for your listing as well. We can now run those for, say you're having a virtual open house event. We can create an event on Facebook and boost it that way. It talks about our software and how we have explore neighborhoods. So on the buy side or the consumer side, people can go in and search by neighborhood. So say, for example, they're interested in Coda de Caza. They just love that area and they want to kind of dial in which specific neighborhood they want to buy in. If they go in there, there's amazing school information, demographic information, etc. If you haven't gone through, I'm sure all of you have, and you're assigned to that neighborhood, you can go in and see different data based on the neighborhood on there as well. Just going through here as well, they personalize this. The Lynches have a segment on, or they partner, I don't really know what to call it, but they have a segment with American Dream TV. A lot of agents have been doing that lately just to kind of boost their promotion. Sorry, someone was looking at me out there. agentinc website. We have all of our featured listings. All you have to do is go to our website, which is agentinc.co, and in the drop down, you'll see featured listings. And I'll go into that in a moment because there's a few things and extra steps you can take to appease your seller. I'm just going to go through this really briefly. We have the agentinc magazine, which is now called Elevated. We have a staging option if your seller is interested in that. We have agent staging. We have an amazing escrow officer, Kim Warnellis, who's out of the CDM office. We have auction, and as John and Deborah have really been pushing it. It's a big thing that's happening right now is being able to auction properties. So a little information on that. Property management is another option for them. And then kind of going into the actual marketing pieces. So here you'll see steps to marketing your property. Again, this is a very basic and generic timeline right here. When you're going into a listing presentation, I highly recommend using the tools that I'll go into later that go in more depth. Because I think a lot of the sellers are thinking, well, what exactly are you going to do for my home? What can I expect from you? And they want a timeline that's very specific to their home. In addition, you can see all of the international exposure that we have here and domestic exposure. So those are all the sites that the listing is being syndicated to, and I'll go over that in a moment as well. It talks about our photography and our amazing text writing that we have here. The ability to do a Matterport, which is, I know that's a very popular option right now. We're actually adding that to our website, so you'll be able to put the video on there as well as the Matterport, and I'll show you that as well. Previews and VIP events. If your client is open to it, we can have a Twilight Broker preview, host a sales meeting there, you name it. Whatever they feel comfortable with, we, as you guys probably know, we throw the best events. So it's always an option for them if they want to do something at their listing. It's a great way to promote it and for maximum exposure all over social media and email, etc. Client communication and constant reporting. I'll go into this in a second as well. This is more of a report. So every 2 weeks, or if you want to go the extra step and send it out every week, you can do that as well. But it's a type of reporting that you can give to your seller, your client, that says, this is what I've been doing this past week for your home. This is what your analytics look like for List Hub, which is where it goes out to all of those sites. And this is what your analytics look for the digital ads I'm running. Here's an overview of a calendar, just little things like that. That's what you would add into this little package that we call our bi-weekly reporting. And then it goes on to talk about John and Mike and Scott. I think you're all on here except John. Our sales team outreach. So as you guys know, and if you don't know already, a great thing about our brokerage is if you are an agent with us, you are able to promote any of our listings. So I have agents that are, they'll always ask me, oh, hey, Lauren, can I have the high resolution images for this property? And I'll send over the Dropbox. You guys are able to promote each other's listings so we can get it sold faster. And hopefully through the team, if we can double end it, that would be amazing. But that's another great thing that we offer here. And I think a lot of clients like to see this is not only am I selling your property for you as the agent, but I have 300 agents behind me to help back that. If you want them all to post it, I'll send it out to the team and ask them all to post it on their social media. And as you know, that can go very far through social media. So continuing on, there's more case studies and testimonials in here. And then it just kind of finishes off with a quote. So that is a sample of our listing presentation. Again, if you guys haven't created one of these yet, please reach out to myself and Katie in the marketing department, and we can at least get you a digital copy that you can put in your email signature. Other great things that you can bring to your listing presentation, one would be the magazine, which is what I pulled up on here. Again, if you haven't customized this yet to have it have your information in your photo and your letter, if you'd like to change it out, please reach out to our marketing department and we'll create that for you. We are working on issue 2 right now. That's going to be very exciting. This is a great tool to use in the living room as well, or even just to farm. You can take that listing or the magazine and say, hey, I'd love to feature your listing in here. Or when I get your listing, you can expect it to be in our next volume of Elevated, which is the name of our magazine. So at least bring a copy of this. We can print these for you if you wanted to get one hard copy of it, or if you want to order 25 or something like that. But please make sure that you at least have a digital version as well. And if you need that, please reach out to our marketing department. Going back here, I'm going to show you, let's see. another great tool that you guys can use, and I would use this as a pre-listing. Oh, let's see, I have a question. I'll have to look after. Please use this as a pre-listing package. We have these available for you. This is one that we just did for the HD team, which is Drew and Hoda. And Scott Lytle created this, and we just thought it was amazing. This is something that is great if you get digitally and you just send it to the client beforehand. Or if you bring it with you, it's a great little pamphlet that we can print for you. Again, it shows all of our ancillary companies. It shows a lot of our notable sales, just on the right-hand screen. And on here, you might like this, Scott. It has a bunch, it has all of those stats. So it has the #1 real estate team 5 times in the world, and then number 13 team nationwide, over 7 billion in closed sales, and record high sales in nearly every coastal community. So those, if you are looking for the jackpot, there you go.
Love that.
But kind of going through it here, you'll see, again, it's very similar to our listing presentation, but you can see how we can market properties throughout the world globally. A lot of marketing details that we have. So over 750 websites is where the listing will be promoted. We have a professional copywriter or text writer, Justin, who can write this text for you. Award-winning photography and aerial drone photography. We can email over 40,000 of ultra-high net worth buyers and sellers. We do, as a brokerage, have a giant database. Top agent and broker networking. So that's kind of just between agents, communication. Targeted digital campaigns. So those can be run on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll show you those in a moment. Our listings are translated into over 18 different languages. So that's a big one as well. I think a lot of sellers, especially the high-end listings, are always wondering, well, if it's going to Hong Kong, if it's on a site in Hong Kong, is it translated into Mandarin? Little things like that. Open houses and broker previews, and then we have accompanied showings, private showings if you want. And again, this can be all customized to you as well. Client communication, this goes into a report, which I'll show you in a moment. This is what we can offer the seller with bi-weekly reporting. Again, you can see the OC luxury stats are usually in there. We can showcase all the marketing we've done, which is the flyers, brochures, e-cards. We can put them all into that little package report. You'll put the comps in there, just little things. Social media reach. This is just specific to Drew and Hoda, but you can see exactly what they have on there. And I think that was, yeah. So that theirs was just a little bifold. So it's something that you can kind of give as a teaser before you go into a listing presentation. I know I have a few chats. Okay. Jennifer, I'll go through all the languages in a moment. So now that I'm here, I'm going to show you just some of the things that I had written down. Put it in a little Word document this morning. Let's see if you guys can see my screen. Oh, there we go. Can you guys see this, these bullet points? Hopefully.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So a lot of, these are just a few tips that I have on here. When you're going to a listing presentation, it's very important to think of all of these things beforehand. Will this, and think about this when you're meeting with the seller, will the seller just be happy with the Twilight regular photography that we have, or do you think that we need to do a Matterport and video? And if that's the case, please make sure that it's up front with them, because you don't want to have them have multiple times, or people are, especially during this time, going into their home like once a week to get all the different separate components together. So just kind of think in your mind. You can kind of get a feel of what the seller will want depending on how your conversation goes. Property description. When you're writing the property description, it's pretty essential to make sure that it's not, it needs to be captivating and kind of give an emotional appeal to the seller. I see a lot of
less is more.
less is more. You don't need to write the whole history of the home and everything. But I see a lot of times, I've seen some interesting ones that just come across. Make sure it's very professional looking. If you're going to put like an exclamation sentence in there, don't put like 12 exclamation points. Sometimes I see those and I just delete them if they come through the marketing department, so it just looks more sophisticated. Definitely especially during this time, virtual open houses are huge. And I just sent out an email this morning that we'll be promoting all of our virtual houses as a brokerage going forward. Cheryl sent over a cool email that she saw with a brokerage that was just sending out all of their virtual open houses for the weekend. And just like I used to have my open house email, we're going to start having our virtual open house email. So you can see for our brokerage, all of the listings that we have open virtually. But again, that's a huge one. I've had a few agents that I've taught how to do a virtual open house. And basically, just like this, there's a few different options. You can either go to the open house itself and do like a video of yourself walking through the home and actually show it virtually. If your seller, say it's not vacant and your seller allowed you to do a video, there's a great option for you to create a Zoom meeting like this and then just play that video. So as soon as you get onto Zoom, you'll invite people to register for Zoom, much like you guys did for this morning. So they'll register for the Zoom meeting. And once everyone's on there, you can introduce yourself, introduce the home, and play the video that you had taken of the listing. You can also pull up the 3D virtual tour. This is a huge one. You'll be able to kind of actually walk through the virtual tour. And Marta, I'm going to pick on you. I think you're in here as well, and I'll just play that virtual tour. So it'll look a lot like this. So we'll go to 16 Coral Reef. And this is Marta Day's listing that she has. And tomorrow we are holding her first virtual open house on this listing. So again, to go to all of our listings, you can go up to our website and then go under featured properties. Marta got 16coralreef.com, this domain. If any of you need those for your listing, please reach out to me and I'm happy to connect it for you. But as we're on the site, you'll see that there's an option for the virtual tour. We are also adding the option for the 3D view. The 3D view will be the Matterport option. So if you have both will show up there. But the first thing I would do on this open house would be to show the virtual tour and to actually play the video. So you can play the video for everyone that's on the tour. Once the video is over, you can answer any questions. And then I think we have the 3D floor plan right here. After that is done, you can actually go through and show the 3D tour. So say, for example, someone has a question on the living room or something like that. You can actually navigate through the living room as if you're there to show the person that's asking the question. And a few great ways to get people to attend your virtual open house is by sending out the invite. So creating an e-card that says, click here to register for my open house. For every register that I get, or for every person that attends, you'll be entered into some raffle, or you'll get a $5 gift card if you attend to Starbucks, things like that. So you're really trying to get people to see it and market that property. It'll make your seller extremely happy. But just an option for you if you're looking into doing those virtual open houses. And I know I'm going really into depth here. But going back to my little bullet points here. Here we go. Every single one of our listings should have these next 3 bullet points. So the e-card, the flyer, and the brochure. If you guys haven't ordered those for your listings, that's usually the first question I ask you. Have you ordered an e-card? Have you ordered a flyer? Or have you ordered a brochure? At least make sure that our marketing department is creating those for you. Just reach out to us if you're missing one. Now we're automating it. So for every listing that we get photography on, we will send one of all these 3 items over to you. But if you need one, just reach out to us. And if you can't print it, or if you don't want to print it, at least get the digital copy to send to your client. That's a huge one. Another great tip is to get emails of neighbors in the surrounding area. If you have a community directory, or if your client does, or anything of that sort, and you can do like a mailing list around that area, that's huge. Just make sure, just a little tip. Digitalize all marketing. So like I said, if you're not printing the brochure or the flyer, or maybe you just want to put the e-card somewhere, put it below your email signature. So whenever Scott McDonald emails us, you'll see he has a bunch of links under his email signature for people to click on. And if you are like us, you email hundreds of people per day, and have the ability to do that, it really doesn't hurt to have click here to view my current listings, or click here to check out the 3D tour of 16 Coral Reef. Put it in the bottom of your email signature. And some of these things we'll go over again if you have any questions in my Monday marketing class at 3.
On the menu of recommendations here, Lauren, with photography, and the company is paying for your core photography, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And that causes us to have the consistency in the brand we need. I don't know of any other company that does that, but when you're adding on other things, adding on your video, your drone, your sunset photography, all the add-ons, you have the option here to do that with no risk of paying for it if the listing doesn't sell. And a lot of agents haven't understood that yet. The company is taking the risk for those add-ons. And if your listing doesn't sell, the company is going to be the one eating that, and you're not going to have an expense. That is just such a gift for listing agents, because you just pay when it closes escrow. And just all the more reason that you want to incorporate everything you can into your marketing story right now.
Mm. So just to kind of piggyback off of that, Scott, if you guys haven't already, just so everyone that's on here, just because I have 35 people on here, if you want to go into the website, agentinc, you all have access to order photography online, and that's a huge one as well. Hopefully this loads. When you go up here to this drop down, you can sign in and go into agent sign in. There we go. Make sure you can see my screen. So once you're on here, and I'm logged in as an agent, you can actually scroll down to order photography. And based on the pricing of your listing, you'll have those add-ons available. So for example, if I'm listing a $3 to $4 million house, you can see up to 35 listing photos are included. That's what agentinc is paying for. And then here are the add-ons that Scott's talking about. And you have the ability to pay that out of escrow with Erica as well. So it's just a really cool option. All you have to do is just fill out this form, add on any add-ons that you would like, and then our in-house photographer will reach out to you. So that's just really quick. Going back to my little bullet points that I have here. Again, are you digitalizing all marketing? So again, I'll go over that in my Monday marketing class. If anyone has any questions on how to create those links under your email signature, it'll be at 3 p.m. on Monday. Bi-weekly reporting, we'll do that one last. And then we will look at our digital ads. So if you haven't already, here is a sample. I might have clicked out. There we go. Some of the digital ads that we can run for your listing. So right now we're looking at Danielle Potter's listing, which is 33028 Christina Ave in Dana Point. You can provide this link to your seller, and that is huge. You'll be able to see the social reach, which is the amount of people who have seen your ads, and then the impressions, which is the number of times that your ads were shown. And this is a huge one for your clients to see, is because they want to make sure that you're running these ads on both Instagram and Facebook. They can also click on these to actually see the post itself. So for example, we'll pull up my Facebook. If I was the client, I'd want to click on it, and I can actually show the ad. So when I click here on, I'm sorry, I have so many tabs open right now. When I click on show the ad, it will actually show up in my newsfeed how the seller would, or the client or anyone online would actually see the ad. And it shows all up here. You can see mobile newsfeed, Facebook stories, how it looks in an Instagram feed, just little things like that. So that's a huge plus for you. And another question that I always ask our agents, are you running digital ads for this listing? Back to,
Or
yeah, go ahead.
just doubling back to the listing presentation and going through it, agents sometimes shy away. They don't even want to show them the page on we run TV ads. They're saying, well, this isn't the price range of my home. And even if it is a luxury home, I don't want to spend the money. But there are a couple very key talking points here that everybody needs to be using. The first one is the statistics on how many people buy the house they're actually calling on or responding to. And it's very low. I think NAR has statistics, 1%, 2%. And so the story there is all of the people responding to every bit of the advertising that's done is an opportunity for you, Mr. Seller, because the statistics show they're very, very likely not to buy that home, and they might buy yours. And if it's not in your price range, guess what? They might have a child, a grandchild, a friend that is looking for a home in your price range. And so all these marketing efforts are valuable for our seller, even if our seller's not specifically getting that specific advertising. I think everybody really needs to grasp that and know how to talk about that because it's huge. And the other thing is John McMonagle is a master at listing presentations. And I've gone on presentations with him. He is such a minimalist as far as not trying to oversell, overpitch, overtalk. You know, he'll go in with, of course, our tremendous listing presentation coffee table book, and he'll have an amazing sample brochure, and he'll have a copy of Elevated magazine, and he'll put them down, and he'll observe how that potential client responds. And usually they'll pick up one or the other and they'll look through it. And John is just observing the whole time to really uncover what is important to them. And he's just a master at this. And agents say to me, I wish I could go on a listing presentation with John. And I think a lot of the times, I think you might be disappointed because he lets the material speak. He lets the story speak. And come on, look at the story. Without saying it, John's saying, yes, I've marketed better than anybody on the planet, and it's caused me to be #1 in the world. And yes, I'm offering all this to you for the same price that everybody else wants to charge you. So go ahead and sign here. I mean, John, kind of tongue in cheek, will say, my favorite listing presentation is one where I don't even have to open up my box of goodies. And that is such a great picture of staying focused on the goal, which is to connect and take a listing until they've hired you and signed a contract. They haven't employed you to give them all the expertise to do so much of what we're talking about. And, you know, keep that in mind. And I'm just chuckle at how great John is at the less is more, letting the material speak, let the story speak, let it make its impact and sink in. Just really, really fun to watch.
Yeah. What's the saying that it's,
well, one is telling isn't selling.
yes. So yeah, that's what I've noticed is John is very soft spoken. So it's kind of, and I know I've heard this too from people that go on listing presentations with him. If you walk into a listing presentation and you're kind of like me during this meeting, just spewing words just out of nowhere, it kind of makes you look like you're a little nervous too. So I don't know, if someone comes in here and just starts talking to me with all these different ideas, it's a little overwhelming. So the less you speak about it and the more you have to show, the better off you'll be.
Great point. Come on, they've never had anyone in their living room that's been #1 in the world in their profession. They've never, and think of the significance of what we're bringing to them with our story and our track record. We need to go in with our heads held high, with a quiet confidence that, look, there is nobody else that this client should be investing their commission dollars in. It's the biggest financial decision they're ever going to make for most of our clients. And we need to go in with that understanding. Mm-hmm. Good point, Lauren.
Thanks, Scott. And for all of, I got the 3 questions that said, can we have a copy of this list, which is my marketing tips? Yes, I'm going to have Katie brand it, and then I'll send it out to the team. But just kind of going, and this is something that we'll probably have a class called, like, now I have the listing, now what? We'll go into the reporting and everything on that one. But I just wanted to give you a quick kind of sample of what we can do once you do get that listing. And here is a sample listing report, which is really awesome. I go over this report in my Monday marketing classes at 3 p.m. as well. Basically, when you do get that listing, it's important to keep your seller happy. They gave you the listing, so you should be showing them either bi-weekly or once a week what exactly you're doing for the listing. And we have a sample here. If anyone needs this, please reach out to me and I can send you the sample. You can show a calendar report. So this would be a sample of what exactly you're doing for the listing. Let's see, I just opened it.
And Lauren, the agent can decide how often they want analytics going to the client. Could be every 2 weeks, could be every week. Exactly.
So what I recommend doing is you have these analytics that you'll get from List Hub. So once you get a listing, you'll get an invitation from List Hub saying view your analytics or sign in here, so you can see the amount of views you're getting on realtor.com and other sites. Zillow kind of does its own thing now, which isn't a shocker, I don't think, to anyone in here. Zillow, you can actually log into Zillow and just Google the property and you can see how many views it's getting that way. So that one's no longer part of List Hub, but on List Hub you can see realtor.com and other sites. And then I just recommend having a calendar, and this calendar can be found in my deadlines and reminders email. I sent out like a temporary dashboard that has a lot of these documents in it. I'll add this into our dashboard as well, on the agentinc dashboard that you get to through our website. But basically what you're doing is you're just taking a calendar and you can switch out the month, and you can go in and put that you're running social media ads. Maybe you're running them every day or something, or you're doing an open or virtual open house, or you did one the week before and there were 9 attendees. Things like that. Just little tiny things are going to make your seller so happy to see that you are actually keeping track and that you care about their listing. So just a little tip on there is just, if the least you can be doing is have those, you'll have those analytics from List Hub. Those are just automated through our brokerage. Keep a little calendar, even if you just print this out and write it in. I've seen agents do that and scan it to their seller. I've seen people mail these to their seller as well. Totally up to you. If you have those Instagram and Facebook ads running for your listing as well, you'll have a copy of that reporting. That's something you can email to them, or again, you can print it out and just scan it all together. Just making sure that you have a little package to give to your seller of what exactly you're doing. And those are just huge. So those are just a few of my little tips that I have here. I just wanted to reiterate too, I think, if it's not Andrea, yes, or Andrea Thornton, sorry. If it's not a luxury listing, yes, you can customize it as well. Yes, I'll send out my marketing tips. After this, I'll have Katie brand my little document that I have there. And then Cheryl, I just wanted to let everyone know that Cheryl has a class on, and she put it in the chat. She's doing a virtual open house, like a mastermind group that meets on Thursdays at 3 to 4 p.m. And if you want the link, email Cheryl at CherylLynch.com, or she's also Cheryl at agentinc.co. But does anyone else have any questions? You want to open it up for questions now, Scott?
Sure.
Cool.
Good job, Lauren.
Thanks. So if anyone has any questions, I don't think on the webinar, I think you have to like raise your hand or something on here, or send it to the chat.
And this is a conversation we can have over and over and over and over. It isn't just one time. There's nothing that is worth our attention more than really developing a great ability and a skill in communicating our value to a seller. And it is just maybe the single biggest skill that a realtor can acquire is the ability to communicate value to a seller and be the agent of choice. This business will never get less competitive. It doesn't work that way. It'll always become more competitive. And having the ability to communicate value will send your career into an orbit that will be absolutely amazing. So I'm available ongoing to have these conversations, to brainstorm, to talk, to role play, whatever we need to do to help you develop these skills. And you will have so much fun when you walk in with that confidence, just knowing that it'll make no sense for that seller to invest their commission dollars with someone else in another company, and being able to communicate that. So it's a great opportunity for all of us.
And Sasan, I know you had a question. You asked how soon can we have an updated listing presentation book? Do you mean, I allowed you to talk if you would like to speak. Do you mean having one personalized or one for 2020?
One for 2020.
So that will be coming in the next week or so. Cool.
All right.
Any questions? Well, this was a good one, and I recorded the whole meeting, so I'll send this out to the team as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.